Okay students, welcome you all. Let's talk about today the types of pollination within 10 minutes. So let's see students, what are the different types of pollination. First of all student, what is pollination? If we talk about pollination, it is going to be the transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma. So students, we know that in plant, if you see, we are having two types of part. One that is going to be male part, that is going to be this one, okay, that will be releasing these powdery substances that will be calling as pollen grains. So students, these pollen grains will be moving from this plant part, that is the male part stamen, okay, and stamen's anther part. This is the anther part of the stamen. From here this pollen grain will be moving towards this particular stigma portion of the female part. This is going to be female part, okay, that we call as pistil. So pistil's female part stigma, the movement of pollen grain will be happening from the anther part of the stamen, that is the male part. This process of movement of pollen grain from anther to the stigma is known as your pollination. Now students, if we talk about this pollination process, so pollination process students can take place in many ways. What are these different ways student in which your pollination can take place? These are going to be broadly divided into two types. One, self-pollination, and other students, it is going to be your cross-pollination. So what is self-pollination students? Self-pollination is going to be a kind of pollination that is happening within the plant, within the same plant. So within same plant, okay, if pollination is happening, it means anther and stigma, both the things students are going to be of same plant, okay, then it is going to be self-pollination. And if it is occurring into different plants, this is going to be students cross-pollination. So if occurring in two different plants, then it is going to be students cross-pollination. Cross-pollination students also known as xenogamy or allogamy. So there are two more names of the cross-pollination. So students, if pollination is occurring within the same plant, it is your self-pollination, and if it's occurring between two different plants, it is going to be the xenogamy, allogamy or cross-pollination. Now how it happens, let's understand. So students, we talk about the cross-pollination. This is going to be one plant, okay, and this plants, okay, this is going to be anthers. These are going to be anthers students of this plant. This is going to be the flower F, and this is going to be students one plant. Now students, if we talk about here, we are having another plant, and this plants, okay, this plant's stigma is going to be there. So these pollen grains will be traveling from plant A to plant's B stigma. So stigma students is going to be of this plant B. So plant B is having its stigma, it means female part, and plant A is going to be having its anther or its pollen grain, that is derived from the anther. So from plant A's anther, like your pollen grain will be traveling to the plant B's stigma. This is the cross-pollination. Two different plants are involved students in this process, movement of pollen grain from anther to the stigma. But students, in this case self-pollination, the process will be occurring within the same plant. But that too can happen in two ways. What are these two ways? Autogamy or Geitonogamy. So what are these autogamy and Geitonogamy? Let's students understand in detail. So students, if we talk about this self-pollination, so students, in self-pollination, if you see, okay, here we are having this plant, and this plant, okay, is having its particular flower. And students, our anther and stigma both are going to be of the same flower. Okay, so this particular pollen grains will be released by the anther, and they are traveling to the stigma of the same flower. Okay, so students, plant is going to be plant A, and its same flower is there, and its pollen grain are going from anther to the stigma portion of the same flower. Okay, so students, in self-pollination, if your pollination is occurring within same flower, then student, this is going to be your autogamy. Plant is same where the pollination is occurring, but flower is also same. So it's a bisexual flower. This flower is having male part also, and this flower is students having female part also. Okay, so from its male part's anther position, pollen grain are traveling to its female part's stigma portion. So this is going to be, students, your autogamy. Okay, and students, one more way of self-pollination can occur, where you can see this is going to be again plant A. This is going to be plant A only. But students, here if you see, there will be a flower. Okay, this flower, students, will be having its male part. Okay, so this flower, students, if you see, it will be having its male part. And student, we are having some another flower also. Okay, on the same plant we are having some other flower also. And student, this particular flower's female part will be their stigma. So students, pollen grain will be traveling from one of the flower of this plant to the stigma of the some other flower, but plant is same. So this step is known as, this particular part of your self-pollination, student, it is known as your cross-pollination, Geitonogamy. Okay, so let's understand, student, again. We are having both these cases. Okay, light me over here. So your pollination will be occurring between two different flowers, of same plant. This is known as, students, your Geitonogamy. So students, we are having now, what you can see, we are having your pollination, that is the transfer of pollen grains, the male gamete containing male gametophyte from your anther to the stigma, male part to the female part. This is known as your pollination. It can occur in two ways: self-pollination within the same plant, or cross-pollination between two different plants. That is also known as xenogamy or allogamy. So in your cross-pollination, one flower of one plant will be there, from where pollen grain will travel to the other plant's stigma portion. And in other case, self-pollination can occur in two ways: autogamy and Geitonogamy. So in autogamy, students, if you see here, in autogamy, students, if you see, in autogamy, students, the plant is same and its flower is also same. Within the same flower, we are having pollen grain, male part, and stigma, the female part. And within the same flower of the same plant, your pollination is occurring. So that is going to be, students, autogamy. But in second case of self-pollination, if you see, students, plant is same but flowers are different. So from one flower, pollen grain is there and stigma is of other flower. So this process is known as Geitonogamy, and this is your again self-pollination only, because it is occurring within the same plant. Okay, so students, these are going to be your different types of self-pollination, right? So let's meet, students, in next particular session with some other important topic. Till then, keep studying, keep growing. Bye bye everybody.